Right, so we're ready to move on now. So we've got the main sort of piece of the model, this big crate here. So we'll start detailing it out further with these extra little models. We'll start with this kind of shield that's kind of propped up against the crates here. So in order to do that, we're going to make our primitive shape for it, which is going to be a cylinder. Because obviously it's a cylindrical shape. So looking at the scale, it's around about this big. I'm not going to worry too much about scale again. Just eyeballing it. We're only using this as a reference. It doesn't need to be 100% exact, I suppose. So we've got our cylinder here, and well, I've already tested this, which is why mine says 32 on the sides. Yours will probably be 18 by default, I think. But change that to 32. You'll see why in a minute. And then once you're happy with the size and the height, I think that'll be fine. Convert it to an editable poly. What we're going to do at this stage, before we go any further, in order to make this, I want it to be dead in the center. So remember, if we right click on all of these coordinates, it will be dead in the center. Now, obviously, the rest of my model is kind of in my way. So I just want to focus on the shield. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hide everything else so I can just focus on this for now. And once it's made, I can position it. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go to polygon. I can see that there's this inset here before we go into the middle bit. So I'm going to get this polygon, get inset, and inset this in. It's probably about that far. Yeah, that's great. Don't know why it's going funny there. Stopped. What I'm going to do now is get edge. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to my top view. Let's maximize that. Because what I'm going to do, see all these lines down here? I'm going to cut those in manually. Okay, and the reason there's 32 sides to the cylinder is so that there's an even number on both sides. So now what we're going to do, we're not going to use connect this time to add in the lines. We're going to manually cut in lines with the cut tool. Okay, and you might find if you try to do this in perspective view, then the cuts won't line up where you think they should do, and it goes a bit funny. So you're much better off doing it in the top view. So the way this works, you can see the icon has changed. If I go over an edge, the icon goes like this. If I go over a vertex, and it goes like this. So we want it to be right on the vertices. So click once, and then obviously you can see, I'm not clicking and dragging, by the way, I've just clicked once. And then come down to where you want it to end, just down here. Make sure the icon is how it should be, so you know you're in the right place, and click again. Okay, you could continue on around to make lots more cuts, but we just want that one line, so you just right click to finish that. If you were done, you could turn cut off, but we're not done, we want to carry on. What I'm going to do is every other edge up here, I'm going to do a line. So one there, and one there. I think we're going to have fewer lines coming down than on the image, but that's fine. You could do it every single one. Should we do it every single one? Yeah, why not? We'll try that. There is quite a few on that. So up to you whether you want to do every single one. When you start going in here, then these lines are going to start getting really close together. Yeah, so to make it look a bit even, I'm going to do every other one. So that should be about fine. So now we're finished. Now we can click cut again so that that tool is turned off. Alright, so let's come back to perspective. So remember with the box we had to chamfer the edges in order to create a polygon that we could then extrude down to add in the actual detailing. We are going to do that. Should we do that now? Yeah. So when you've got those edges selected, they're already selected from when I cut them. You might have to reselect them, but I'm going to go to Chamfer. I'm going to get the little dialog box again. Remember up here, change it to try, so you don't get the extra line in the middle. I don't want it to be that chunky, just a little bit like that. That's fine. Right, now I want to do some extruding. So I can tell that this edge piece is extruded upwards. So the new trick for you, so actually that won't work now that I've extruded it. Yeah, I'll show you. I'm going to undo, just so I can show you how to do this selection trick. So if you've got like a circle of polygons like we have here, if you hold down the shift key, so if I select one of them, hold down the shift key, you can see I go over the polygon next to the one I've got selected. It highlights all of them, and then I can just click, and then they're all selected, rather than me going around and selecting every single one. Alright, so I'll do that, do my extrusion first, something like that. Maybe that's a bit high. That maybe. Then I'm going to come into my edges, and I'm going to do that chamfer that I did. So just remembered what I had from before, that's fine. Then I'm going to get these polygons, and rather than just do a straight extrude down, I'm going to do a bevel, so that it's kind of like that. Okay, so we've got that detailing in there. Right, so you've got all these bits around the edge here. We'll go through that in a second, but we want to put this sort of cross and the cylinder in the middle. So we'll start with the cylinder in the middle. So I'm going to create that from a new shape. It's going to be the easiest way to do it. The cylinder, I'm going to turn auto grid on so that I can do it on top of the surface here. So I'm going to create the cylinder. But now I want it to be in the middle. So I could try and sort of line it up. But remember down here the coordinates, we made this cylinder right in the middle. So this one we can do the same. Right click these. Not the Z one though, because we want it to be that height still. If we push that Z one, it would go down. So we don't want to do that. Okay, and then is that about the size we want? Yep, that seems about right. So when you're happy with your cylinder, convert it to an editable body. Right. So we can see that it insets in again, and then we've got the kind of this dome in the middle. So polygon, inset in, and then the dome we can just create from a series of bevels. So if we just go up a little bit, and then inwards, a little bit more. Inwards, and then up a tiny little bit. Okay, so you have that kind of a domed effect like that. Alright. To keep it all unified, I'm going to change the color of it all to match. There we go. Now what you want to do is we've got this kind of cross here. So in fact that, I feel like that inset should be get it's fine. So I'm going to get a box. Just create a box somewhere around the middle for now, about the right kind of size. Alright. Again, center it dead to the center in the X and the Y. Make sure its length it goes inside there. And make sure the height doesn't come out the top. So about there. Okay, seems about fine. Gonna make a second one, so hold shift and copy one over here, just somewhere over there for now because we're going to use that in a minute. Right, So obviously this is like a perfect kind of cross. So the way we're going to do that, something else new that we haven't used before. I'm going to get my rotate tool, okay, or E on your keyboard. Then up here, if you hover over this tool here, it says angle snap toggle. If you click that, you'll notice that when you rotate something, it snaps to every 5 degrees. Okay, so to get that in a cross, obviously completely sideways would be 90, so we want to do half of that, 45. Okay, then get your move tool, get this guy back, snap him to the center by right-clicking those, get your rotate tool again, do the same thing but rotate it that direction, 45 degrees again. Okay, get those, let's match our color up, and there we go. Okay, what's next? So I can tell that there's kind of curved around the edges there, so get back to here again, get to edge. Remember that shift selection trick, so select one edge, hold shift, and then it will click and select all the ring of edges. I'm going to chamfer that just a little bit so that it's a bit more rounded. Like that. Same for the inside edge. Okay. Great. Okay, so I'm happy with that so far. Now what we've got is we'll do these sort of symbols first. So the symbols we're going to create. In fact, we'll do that in the next video. Won't do too much in one go. Okay, so once you get to that point, yeah, save up and we'll be ready to move on.